Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the programme, Spike Edney. Spike, first of all, have I got your last name right?
It's Edney, E-D-N-E-Y.
Edney, right, okay. Now, you are a member of a brilliant band called the S.A.S. Band, but you also have another, if you don't mind me saying, claim to fame, as being the fifth member of Queen. Is that right?
Well, I've been... nobody's the fifth member of Queen. There's only 4 members of Queen, but I have been fortunate enough to work for them and play with them live on stage since 1984.
So you've been through some amazing times. I mean, you must have been there at things like Live Aid.
I certainly was, yeah. That was my second year. I started the autumn before that for the Works Tour, which was the tour that had Radio Gaga and I Want to Break Free as the big records of that year. And then and Live Aid came in the summer of 85, and I certainly was there. Yeah, it was a great day.
The band, Queen, are just awesome. I mean, don't care what anybody says. What's it like being part of that organisation, part of that sort of stage presence?
It's pretty inspiring, actually, because I wasn't a Queen fan, particularly, when I started working with them. I liked a couple of their records, but I always admired their musicianship because their singles, which were I didn't know any of the albums, but I knew a few of the singles, but always displayed far more sort of creativity than most of the stuff that was going around at the time. But it wasn't my musical taste. I mean, I'm a soul boy, really. I grew up with Motown and Wilson Pickett and Stevie Wonder.
Oh, yes.
And so that's where my heart lay. And so when I started working for them, it was quite an education, really. Got to know their stuff as I started preparing to do their tour. And but what really struck me was their stagecraft. They really know how to put a show together in terms of the lights and the music and the running order and of course with the best front man in the world, you can't really go wrong, can you?
No, I mean, that was pretty obvious at Live Aid. That's one thing that always brings me back is, I mean, no, I wasn't there. I watched it on the big screen and all the rest of it. But that audience was totally in Freddie's hands, and the rest of the band just completely carried on orchestrating it, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember that for the guys, the band, it was a day at the office, really. They weren't expecting that kind of reaction. And in fact, I think when we went on stage, it was really a case of heads down, let's do what we do, and keep our fingers crossed that nothing goes wrong in those 20 minutes. Well, yeah. Everything went according to plan, but it wasn't, what's the word? It wasn't planned to be some earth-shattering thing. It was just a plan to get through the day without messing anything up, to be honest. And even when we came off stage, we thought, well, that went fairly well. And it's only over time that it's grown into this massive thing, where the Queen stole the day, and now it's the best gig of all time, and everything like that. I mean, that was really the furthest thing from anybody's mind. It was a case of let's get up there, let's play the songs, and let's hope the audience likes it. It's really as simple as that.
Dare I ask the question about Adam and Freddie? Do they compare?
No, they're two completely different kind of performers. I mean, Adam has got an amazing voice. He probably has a better range than Fred, I think. But what Fred had was rock charisma in spades.
Yeah.
Adam's got charisma, and Fred's got charisma, and they both can sing the hell out of those songs, but they're both completely different.
And when you see Queen now, I mean, when you saw them in front of Buckingham Palace and all the rest of it, they are still that amazing organisation, that fantastic band that still seems to work so good together. You know, how do you think they get that?
Luck and judgment. Fortunately, they have a knack of finding people who can make a proper contribution. Like the bass player, Neil, was a discovery of Brian's. He found Neil playing on the Terry Wogan show, funnily enough, I think it was. When Terry Wogan had a Sunday show on the radio, he had a band, Elio Pace was his MD, and Neil was the bass player. And when Brian went to do a session there, he made a mental note about Neil, the bass player. And then when he did a solo thing with Kerry Ellis, he hired Neil as his bass player.
Yeah.
And then years later, when we were thinking about doing some stuff with Adam, we needed a bass player, and there was Neil. Tyler Warren, who's the percussionist and second drummer, he's also... Neil's a great singer too, and so is Tyler. So we've got two amazing voices there. Tyler's a percussionist, but he's a multi-instrumentalist. Guitar is his first instrument, and he records complete pieces of music with him playing everything. He's actually very, very gifted. And we found him, Roger and I found him when we were putting together the Queen Extravaganza, which was the official Queen tribute band. Roger was getting tired of seeing all these tribute bands running around the world doing half-assed jobs of copying Queen, and he said there ought to be somebody out there who's doing it properly. So we put a band together, but quite a few years ago now. I can't even remember what year it was. And we auditioned, and we found Tyler. But Tyler auditioned on drums. We didn't know that, in fact, he's a brilliant guitar player as well. So, and of course, I've been around for a few years, and I know a little bit. So we have a good combination. The main difference between what happens now and what happened back in the day is that we now have 6 people on the stage who can sing. And that makes a huge plus when it comes to doing some of that Queen stuff. If you look back at Queen in 1975, you'll see you've got Fred and you've got Roger, he's captured behind the drums, and you occasionally get Brian doing the singing. So that's 2.5 voices. We now have 6. So do the math, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, seeing that show that we saw on TV in front of Buckingham Palace. Okay, you know, Brian up on top with the guitar was just amazing. The only way to start, but I mean that whole thing, it just gels, and it's just amazing, absolutely amazing.
Well, they do have skill. There is no doubt about that.
But I also want to talk to you about the SAS Band, because that is totally different, isn't it?
Yes, it is a totally different thing. The SAS Band is me hiring people to work with and for me. There used to be a show on TV called Mission Impossible back in the day. It was an old black and white TV, and the guy used to open up a folder and he used to take out the pictures of whoever was going to be right to do the mission. And that's what the SAS Band is, really. I tend to sort of like select people who are going to be right for the job, because we do all kinds of things, and a lot of private work and corporate stuff and private parties and things like that for people who want to have, you know, a big 50th or 60th party or something. And then we do live shows, public shows as well, festivals, and normally do a Christmas show in Guildford and Southampton. So, and every year I try to shake it up a bit, and we have different people. And if you look on the S.A.S.Band website, SAS.band.com, you'll see a list of many, many people that have passed through the ranks. But it's a continual revolving door, and I like that. It keeps it sort of exciting and fresh. You never get them locked into a path. There's always something different going on.
Yeah, the one thing I was going to say is you can't actually pigeonhole the band, can you? You can't say they're a rock band, blues band, folk band, whatever, because it kind of varies a lot, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and it's all down because we have quite a wide taste in music anyway, as musicians, and also the artists that we have to sing with vary as well. From, you know, heavy rock singers, we've had Paul Rodgers with us, and then we get soul singers and jazz singers. You know, so, and I like that. I like that variety, and I also like to have that in the show where you see one singer performing, and then you don't know what's going to happen next. And then somebody comes up with something completely different. And then we get them all to join in together. So that's my favourite bit, when we get them. And they love that too, the artists. They love doing stuff with, you know, different kinds of artists and different people. So it really is a mixture, and long may it stay like that.
No, that is incredible. As I say, it's wonderful when you get a band or you get an act that you can't pigeonhole, because so many things nowadays have got to be pigeonholed. It's got to be one thing or the other thing. No, music is music. Just get on with it and enjoy it.
Yeah, and also people in the audience, not everybody likes the same thing all the time, so we're hoping that we are sort of making more people happy but with the variety that we do, rather than just doing one thing all night. There's plenty of bands just do that, and not many do what we do.
Recording-wise, I mean, do you get much chance to record with the SAS Band?
Well, I did, actually. When I first put it together back in the 90s, we made an album of half original songs and half favourite covers. And but to be quite honest, the record business isn't interested in a band that does all that different stuff because they can't get pigeonholed, exactly like you said.
Yeah.
So we were, when I took it to play it to record companies, we put out a few thousand copies and sold it at shows and stuff like that. And when I took it around, they said, "Yeah, but who are you? What do you stand for?" And I said, "Well, just a wide range of fabulous music and fabulous songs and fabulous singers." And they said, "Yeah, well, we can't use that."
It's crazy, isn't it? Raw talent. No, we can't use that.
No. Yeah, great singers, great songs. Nah, no room for that, mate.
Yeah, have you been on Britain's Got Talent? You know.
Well, but then that would be difficult. Which song will we play? Because one song doesn't sum us up. You know,
No.
You can't pigeonhole us. We have to do half a dozen songs for people to get an idea what we're like. But yeah, I mean, but it's always been unique and it's always been unfathomable, and I think it's that attraction. Right?
Yeah, that's good. When you go on tour with the band, or you go out and you do a live show, do you still get the same kind of enthusiasm, the same kind of sort of fire that you would get from standing on stage with Queen?
Do you know what you get? Yeah, I mean, the Queen is a unique thing, and you look out and there's 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people, sometimes even more, but you can only see the first 5,000. After that, it's just a blur, and you're aware of them. But you get the same thing when you stand up there and there's 1,000 people in a room. It's all down to the energy you get back. So, I mean, I love doing both. I love doing the big shows with Queen, and I love doing the smaller things too.
Yeah, it just fascinates me because it's almost like some bands when they are really, really big, they go, "No, look, can we just go and do a little pub gig somewhere just to sort of have a bit of fun?" And it's sort of, I guess it's a bit like that, isn't it?
It's the same thing as that. Yeah, it's just about reconnecting. In fact, those smaller gigs can be more terrifying because they can see the whites of your eyes.
Yes.
So, as I say, I like doing both. I like doing the smaller gigs because you kind of get more freedom. When you're doing the big gigs, you tend to have to stick to the plot. But if I do something small, I like to have the chance to change things around, extend things, or take it in a different direction. It's more artistic freedom, which is always fun.
Queen. I'm just going to finish on Queen. What was it like working with Freddie? I mean, was he the diva that everybody paints him?
The thing is about divas is that they can turn it on and off normally. And Fred was fabulous and charming, friendly, if he trusted you. And he didn't trust you straight away. It takes a while to sort of earn that trust. And then if he feels that he's being taken advantage of, then he can switch.
Yeah.
And it's a case of you just got to know how to respond to him, and the way to respond to him normally is to be yourself and be friendly, And then if that's okay, he gets that, and then he'll respond likewise to you. But sometimes people take advantage, or a situation called for something extra,
Yeah.
and then he could be up there with the best of them when it comes to the diva world.
Yeah, brilliant. Do you have a favourite Queen song?
Well, I always like doing Radio Gaga because it was the first real challenge that I had on the very first tour, and I like doing it these days because it means it's the end of the show.
I'm going to use that in this interview. Once again, Spike, thank you so much. Good luck with the SAS Band. What's the website for the SAS Band?
SAS.com.
SAS.Band.com. Okay.
Yeah.
Just in case anybody...
If you are going to play Radio Gaga,
yes.
Don't play the record. I can't bear the record because it's got computer drums on it. Play live at Wembley or Adam's version or something like that because it's got far more beef to it or more welly, as we would say. And I just think it's got so much more going for it. The record itself is a great record, and it was a big hit because it's a great song. But those computer drums drive me crazy.
Right. We'll use a wellied up version.
Yeah, do that. All right.
All right. Thank you for your time once again. Really appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.